Needed to get paid. Betting favorites, don't you know? Couldn't pick a winner, nothing was going right. Sitting in the sports book with my dough running low, and tickets getting torn. The lying on the floor, been like a madman out of control.
That it, Lubie? Thing went down on me. You there? I'm hearing nothing coming from your end. Suddenly lost all of the audio coming from your end. Song tapped out. You're saying nothing. Lost you completely. Not sure if that's on my end or on yours. Rough start to the show, though. You must have hit something, or your cat stepped on the board, because I was hearing you loud and clear. Maybe it's a flaw in this new audio board that I have. But everything was going well, and then all of a sudden I got nothing here. So we don't know. I'm assuming that we're on, but I can't hear anything Lubie's saying or coming from his end. So bear with us here while we try to figure this out. And I don't know if we need to just reboot the whole show here, Lubie, or what, because this is going to be extremely difficult to operate under these conditions. This is a new one.
I'm here. That muted.
Oh, there you are. Okay. What happened?
I didn't touch mute. It muted for no reason, so that's fine. Good morning.
Just went right out, and your mouth was moving. It was very much like Marionette City here, brother. All right. How you doing, Lubie? How's
I'm
everything?
doing fine. Sorry, I don't know what the fuck that was.
Now we got music coming in.
I'm playing the music. That you didn't get to hear the music, so now you get to hear the music.
No, I heard the beginning of it. And you had a little against the thread working, and then all of a sudden it just crapped out. So, all right, how is everybody? We got this straightened out. That's good, because we got it straightened out early in the show, so we didn't have to go on for a half hour going, we are there. I don't know what the fuck to do here.
Sorry.
Well, if you're listening to me, tell me that on the chat line. That you're hearing the show.
No, we weren't going there.
This is a modern day technical nightmare. See, in the old days, we just used to crap out altogether, and that was it. You'd have to pack up the shit. I would stay at whatever remote location. We led the league in blown remotes, and I'd stay at whatever remote location as long as I could, because I usually was receiving some kind of a talent fee. It was kind of like the Tyson fight, where medically, should Tyson have been approved to get in the ring there? I mean, he was having all kinds of crazy issues. He had that thing where he had to be taken off the plane by medics. And that postponed the original date for the Tyson-Jake Paul Classic, which took in four times the amount of wagering of any other fight in history, according to statistical data.
That's so stupid.
for not even a real event. Now, I was reading an article today, and this never happens, right? It's kind of like a fan boycott. Yeah, I'll never go to another fucking game, and if nobody goes, then they'll go out of business, and they'll be out of town, and this guy will be ruined. And the fans end up going. People always say that I'll never watch another NFL game as long as I live.
Yeah, okay.
So who loses there? You. That's about it.
They're going to still have NFL.
NFL's still going on without you, kid. Could you get enough momentum going with a movement like that? Never. It never happens. How many times do you have people call in to sports talk shows over the years and say, I'll never watch another NBA. I'll never watch another hockey game. I'll never watch another fight. I'll never buy another Mayweather fight. We keep doing it because we're idiots. We elect I don't want to label everybody that voted for Trump an idiot. I don't mean that in that context. But when you see, I feel totally comfortable now about my Medicare coverage, which I depend on greatly, because I love going to doctors and not having to pay a dime.
Yeah, I'm
That's
sure.
the best
I mean,
thing
that
about
was
going to any doctor. You roll in there, the guy says surgery. You say, hey, you know what? While you're at it, maybe you can do like my heart and my lungs also.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. You're just getting
Well, that'll
everything.
be over. I had a doctor recommended to me, and I think this was totally unnecessary also, but he was recommending to me that I get a $600,000 treatment for gout.
There you go.
The total treatment would have been, it's a thing called Chris Texa or something like that.
Mhm.
Anyway, it's a deal where they kind of they drain the blood out of your body. You feel like Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones, right? Where they drain the blood out of your body, basically give you a new couple of quarts of blood or whatever. It's not really blood, but they clear everything out, and it reverses the damage that's been done over the years by gout. So I'm looking at it, and this guy's really pushing this on me every time I see him. He's saying, "You really want to do this? Do you want to be able to, have another beer sometime in your lifetime?" And I'm thinking there has to be another alternative to this because it involved going every 2 weeks for like a year for IV treatments and sitting in the guy's office for like 2 hours getting an IV bag. And I guess, depending on the level of severity of the thing, some doctors were actually recommending it. But the only reason I think this guy was recommending it was because he was going to pick up a nice
Getting
piece of
a kick.
change on the kickback. No,
Getting a kick, 100%.
he shits $30,000 a bag.
100%.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know that you can always trust the medical profession, but they we're looking at Mike Tyson. How did the Texas Division of Licensing allow this guy to get in the ring? He made. How long would you say he made an even reasonable account of himself? One round?
I didn't watch it. I heard people, my friends, I was just watching, following on Twitter when I was watching other stuff, and my friends were chatting back and forth the whole time. And then I think Ken was sort of talking about it. Within the first round, people were like, Tyson looks gassed. I'm like, can you look gassed in the first round and then it only be a 2-minute round?
Yeah, he's already out of gas. So anyway, yeah. So there's supposedly a talk of a class action lawsuit that, and we know this that in boxing, the fighters don't get paid a dime unless they actually fight or get into the ring.
Yeah.
Kind of like I mean, if you're not in the contest, it's not like a football player is injured and he gets paid anyway. If you had to scratch the fight, all of that money. Jake Paul's in a position to make $40 million. He's also the promoter of the fight. So what does he do? He probably tells Tyson and whoever else that needs to hear this that listen, don't worry about a fucking thing. If you run out of gas or you feel lousy, just stand there. Put your gloves in front of your face, chew on them for a little while, and I'll just dance around, throw an occasional shot, get a nice, easy decision, and we'll both make out like champs. Should there be a lawsuit? I mean, people are gambling on this. How is that licensed as an actual sporting event, Lubie? That's therein lies the farce of what took place. Texas Department of Licensing, not considering that an exhibition, but actually considering it a real boxing match, which right away you suspended the rules of any normal boxing match by narrowing the rounds down to 2 minutes instead of 3. So what was the purpose of that? I mean, how could you not then immediately consider it nothing more than an exhibition? And if people want to bet on an exhibition, they can bet on pro wrestling, which they do, Lubie.
Yes, they probably do.
Yeah. But all of that shit never works. Here's a statement from an attorney that was being interviewed about this possibility of a class action lawsuit. So people could recoup their betting money.
Oh, is that? Oh, really? Well, you decided. I mean, come on. Going into whatever that was, you knew. If you didn't know what it was, then that's your fault. Like Scott,
Exactly.
public is fucking stupid. Like that's your fault for betting on it. Like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? What do you think that was going to be? Some classic? It wasn't fucking Pacquiao and Vargas. Like you weren't getting some fucking Ali and Liston or like Ali and like it wasn't like some
Any real competitive match. Yes.
Come on, man. Like that's
The
not what.
only curiosity was, did Tyson, based on those videos, which now you're thinking to yourself, well, geez, I mean, how much of a fraud did they perpetrate on the public here? You have those videos of Tyson looking great, and you're thinking, wow, if he attacks this guy like that, how is Jake Paul going to fend him off? Because nobody else could. But that was 40 years ago. The guy started out when he was like 19. So you're looking at a 40-year differential from when he first stepped into the ring. not happening, right? And you could talk all you want about George Foreman. He still wasn't even 50, I don't think, when he knocked out Michael Moore.
And he wasn't in good shape. It was just he
Just
got
one lucky shot.
It wasn't a good fight. Like no one, I watched that
He was
fight.
getting smoked. Yeah,
It wasn't a good fight. It
no.
was almost exhibition level, except for the fact that Moore sort of rested on his laurels and left himself open, and Foreman popped one, so it made it sound like a great fight because the old man won, but it wasn't a good fight. Like
The outcome was sensational, but leading up to that one punch, you were thinking this is an unmerciful beating, and what a total farce it was. All right, so along the lines of boycotts and the idea that you're going to turn this thing around, this attorney says the precedent is set nationally that if you sue as a gambler or a fan, you don't have a chance to win. They generally get thrown out because courts have held that the plaintiffs don't have standing to sue. In this particular framework, the promoter is the fighter. All of a sudden, Tyson gets magically healthy enough to fight, looking like a shell of himself compared to his training videos. So you bought into the farce. That's
it's true.
You're fine. You're a sucker.
Yes.
You put your money up on this thing. Now, if you were betting Jake Paul, you're naturally happy, thinking, "Wow, this was the easiest money I ever made." Even though Jake Paul was like a 2-1 favorite in the fight. So if you were willing to bet a huge sum of money, 50 grand, that Paul was going to win, and you're thinking magically Tyson is not going to land this one punch that's going to knock him out. But I mean, the indicator should have been that the guy was being carried out of a plane on a stretcher for some kind of bizarre impact of an ulcer 2 fucking months ago. Instead, we're looking at these training videos and going, "Hey, it looks pretty sharp to me. I wouldn't want to get in there with him."
Yeah, he's punching that bag. I always love when they punch the bag and everyone gets excited. It's like
You may as well have gone to some bar where they have that thing where they measure the might of
yes, so you punch it one time.
put the $5 in there and gone, "Whoa, look at that, a 700. This guy's fucking tough. I wouldn't want to meet him now."
Like, look again. You watch. There's nothing wrong with. I'm not mocking people who watch it. I don't care. It was free on Netflix.
I mean, to watch it, it's entertainment. It's some form. I didn't have to pay for it any extra money, so why wouldn't I watch it?
It was Friday. There wasn't really any great games on. That's neither here nor there. I watch a lot of stupid crap. Like I don't judge people for what they watch, but to then bet on it and then be mad that you bet on it.
You motherfuckers, you ripped me off.
What are you doing?
Exactly. I mean, they had to step in the ring. They had to make this thing happen to collect the money, which was already sitting there pretty much because Netflix was all involved, and the gate receipts they knew were going to be gigantic by comparison to what relevantly they should have been, for something like this. You did at least see. My understanding was, and I didn't get to see much of this fight because I went out for a little while, but that the a legitimate men's boxing match was also a real good fight. Ended up in a draw, a world title fight, welterweight championship. 2 guys I never heard of, but nonetheless, one of them was the WBC welterweight champ. They made a pretty good account of themselves, and the chicks stole the show. Other than that, the rest of it, and the long wait and build up to see Tyson and Paul step into the ring and the ring walk and the whole circus. I mean, it wasn't like Hector Macho Camacho was coming out there in some kind of
exactly.
bizarre Roman gladiator outfit, and you were going to see the guy actually get in there and wail away on somebody in a competitive fight. That wasn't
like I remember Holyfield. Tyson, like the first one. I remember it was like a big fucking deal. I remember I was like in 8th grade. I remember going at a buddy's house, and I wasn't even into boxing yet, but it was like a big deal because he had the prison, and then he came back, and then they're ready for him to fight. And Tyson had beat the shit out of McNeely, so everyone's like, he's still Tyson. And Holyfield had a nice solid career, and you had the hip hop music, and he had the like he treated like he was death, and like Tyson would come out. But this wasn't that.
I mean, the Holyfield was the test that people thought that Paul was going to be, I guess. I don't know. I mean, at least you were talking about a guy that was still boxing, maybe on the backside of his prime. But he did toy with Tyson in that fight, and that was it. And you thought, okay, it's over for Mike. The 3 years away, I mean, look, most people would tell you, Angelo Dundee would always say this, that if Ali hadn't sat out those 3 years, because the government was denying him a license. If he hadn't lost those 3 years, what would his legacy have been? And maybe he wouldn't have stuck around for the ugly part of the tail end of his career, where the onset of Parkinson's was already in evidence, and you were thinking to yourself, this isn't a good idea, as the fight doctor used to say all the time. That he continued. Maybe he wouldn't have done it. I don't know. Well, we can't.
You probably wouldn't.
Can't say what a subsequent series of events would be if something had changed prior to it actually ended up taking place. But anyway, so that was good. You have a bunch of other stuff going on in the world of sports here, Lubie. Very interesting. The Cavs lost for the first time. They did cover the point spread. They were getting 7 from the Celtics. Then I believe, enhancing the illustrious context of this game was the fact that it was an NBA Cup game. That really made the difference.
Oh, there you
go. Ooh.
I know the Celtics got out to a big lead, and another Cavs cut into it and made it somewhat interesting.
Ended up a 3-point game. Cavs were being handled throughout most of it. Came roaring back. The Celtics looked similar in the early portion of that game, first half anyway, to the way they did on opening night against the Knicks when they were canning nothing but threes, Lubie. Yeah. And so that undefeated streak was somebody popping champagne. There's never been an undefeated NBA team. So
no, you're not.
I don't think you have the old Mercury Mars thing. No, where they pop a champagne cork. That happened when the Chiefs went down. But those celebrations seem to be without the Mercs spearheading the movement.
Yeah, they're older. I mean, most of them.
It's not the same, right?
Most of them sadly are gone. And on top of that, like it has sort of, if not become a curse, sort of become a joke because the Dolphins. Yeah, they went undefeated, and then they haven't won since the following year. So. As the Dolphin fans themselves, you celebrate. I don't celebrate. I don't give a shit if someone goes undefeated. To be brutally honest.
No, I would like to see it.
I was win a goddamn Super Bowl. I don't care. No. Stupid undefeated.
Degree of difficulty has been ratcheted up significantly, though, because the Dolphins played 14 games and 3 playoff games.
Yep.
And now you're playing 17 in the regular season, and then potentially 3 more playoff games, even more than that, right? 4 more playoff games. If you're a wild card, do you end up playing 4 games in the postseason to get to the Super Bowl?
Yes. 3 to get.
3 to get, yeah, and then the 4th game. So
yes. You play 4.
Talking about having to go 21-0, forget about that.
And again, we know that the talent is spread out. We know with the salary cap, you can't just like that Dolphins team. They were no name.
Probably wouldn't have been together.
10 guys were Hall of Fame caliber. Like that whole defense was Hall of Fame caliber. And
less teams also.
In the offensive side, I mean, they had 3 running backs that would have started and probably been Pro Bowlers.
Right. The Mercs on the sidelines. The average 5 guys.
Jake was legit. Like Waterfield was like a fucking decoy. I mean,
Greasy makes the Hall of Fame, throwing 4 passes a game. Incredible.
It was a different world. Like,
yes,
yeah,
hard to compare eras, no doubt about it. But anyway, the Cavs' undefeated streak ends last night. The Jets fired Joe Douglas, their general manager. They fired Robert Saleh earlier in the year. They now have rid themselves of the 2 key personnel that supposedly are running the franchise, coach and general manager. This Ulbrich guy, Jason Cole, told us he wasn't a very sharp choice as the replacement, even if you're not expecting much from an interim coach sometimes.
They're not winning.
But this guy's done worse with the team than Robert Saleh was doing. The Aaron Rodgers trade looks like a complete brick, and I don't know if they're even bringing Aaron Rodgers back now that they fired Joe Douglas.
I think they're going to try to, and I think that's stupid. Like, what is showing you that they're going to be better with Rodgers? Like, the guy's old.
How are they going to be better? The guy is deteriorated. You can see clearly the decline in Aaron Rodgers from his play from just a few years ago. Does this go down as one of the worst trades in sports history?
Did they give up a lot? I don't think they
gave up a first-round pick. They swapped first-round picks, I believe, in 2023 because the Jets still picked somebody at 15. So that was not necessarily the. I'm looking at it. They gave up a first and a second in 2023 and a 6th-round pick in 2023. And that was a conditional 2024 second-round pick, which they did not meet the condition. So it remained a second-round pick because that was based on Rodgers taking 65% of the snaps in his first year, which he took 3 snaps in his first year. That was it. So they saved a little bit there in terms of the embarrassment of the lopsided nature of this trade, but they got nothing out of it. I mean, they got a complete waste of the first season. And this season, you would have to say, couldn't most any quarterback, couldn't Zach Wilson have led them to this same record?
Oh, yeah. Look, that was my problem with it. Like, it actually, Favre felt like he had a little bit more left when he went to the Jets.
Yeah.
Like, Rodgers, they were all hailing it and all whatever. Look, from the day it happened, I was like, most people that weren't Jet fans were like, and like, if you watched it, like, he literally.
I thought it was a good move. I thought they would get 1 or 2 years of good quarterback play that they hadn't had in seems like centuries since Joe Willie was there. So yeah, I didn't. I mean, at a steep price and a lot. It's not my money. It's Woody's money. All those Q-tips you're shoving up your nose. Praying for Aaron Rodgers to stake the joint out.
I was fine to take a chance because Wilson was a disaster. You had used that high draft pick on him to go right back into the draft. Did that automatically mean you were going to find a quarterback? So I didn't think I didn't think there was anything wrong with making the move. But as an opposing fan, it wasn't like one of those moves where I was like, oh fuck, they got right. I was like, okay, like, their line sucks. I don't trust the head coach. The defense is overrated. The people love how great the defense is.
What happened to Sauce Gardner? Everybody's saying
I don't think the defense was as good as they wanted it to be. I never thought it was that good. I just think the offense was fucking abysmal, so it made the defense look better than it was. The defense was okay. Like, it was never this fucking Ravens defense or the Niners a couple years ago.
It didn't scare you.
The Eagles. It never scared me, and I always thought that was like, okay, they have some nice pieces. But Gardner, they wanted to make him Dion. Like, he's a nice corner. He's a good corner. He's not some historically great corner. Like, they because it's New York, everything gets sensationalized. And I was like, you guys, Rodgers is a fine move. Go for it. Who cares? I like that when teams try to win, and don't just rest on their laurels. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can be realistic about the move and go, okay, I don't know what's going to move you forward.
It sure turned out to be a bonehead maneuver on the part of the Jets brass. It's getting everybody fired. That's amazing. Aaron Rodgers comes to the team, and everybody's out the door there on a team that doesn't usually do that sort of maneuver. Woody Johnson never has fired a coach in midseason or during the course of the season, and if he kept Mike Tannenbaum around to the end of a year, can you imagine? This Joe Douglas, though, look, the results just aren't there. He's 30-64 in his tenure as a general manager. The team's 30-64. That usually spells exit. Now, it can happen that a guy comes in and he's facing a year where the team's going to be 2-15 or whatever, and that can skew the record. But in this case, it's pretty consistent, damning evidence that Joe Douglas really isn't capable of putting together a winning franchise, or at least not with the Jets. 30-64, Lubie. So they're in misery as the Dolphins are celebrating at 4-6, the impending arrival of the New England Patriots in town, a team that everybody figures are going to handle with relative ease. The Patriots may be getting a little bit better. I don't know.
No, Drake May is finding his footing. Look, he was a top 5 pick for a reason. I still think he's young and he's going to have mistakes, but he's elite. Early on, they weren't even playing him. It's worth playing him. He's not, whatever he's going to do, he's not going to lose you games. He'll keep you in games enough. And Mayo's a nice coach, and they have a decent defense, and he knows how to coach defense, and they'll finish the year okay, and we'll see what happens with them going forward. It goes back to how they draft. Like, the last decade for Belichick, the drafts were fucking abysmal. Like, they found a way to hold on because Brady.
He used to be so clever at that too. He would draft some guy that you were like had Mel Kiper's hair standing up like Don King, and everybody's screaming, "Oh my God, can you believe this?" And then the guy would turn out to be excellent.
Well, but
then that faded. I don't know. Did he get
Pioli left? It wasn't. It was Pioli. It was the guy with the Texans. Because whatever the hell is
not Pioli.
No. Pioli isn't with anyone anymore.
No.
The GM for the Texans was under Pioli and Belichick, and the three of them worked together, and they did a really good job, and they knew how to fill in holes. The minute Belichick didn't think he ever needed anyone, and you saw the minute Pioli left, and it's not like Pioli did great things without Belichick either, but their drafts fell off a goddamn cliff. Like, they were doing Dolphins type shit where, like, they would get a guy here and there, but they weren't getting like 4 or 5 guys. They weren't losing, because that was their thing, was they would just not keep a Richardson, where they would not keep a Tyler, they would not keep a Willie McGinnis, and they would get some random dude you never heard of, and he would become like a fucking Pro Bowler. Like, that stopped happening. And eventually, especially once Brady left, it caught up with them. That'll be the thing for them. Like, Mayo's doing a nice enough job where it's like, okay, if they can get him some pieces, they may be interesting. And they do have a quarterback that it's not Mac Jones. Like, this dude does have possibilities, and you don't have to just junk him. It's not Zach Wilson. Like, he's shown enough the last 3 games.
Oh, it could be decent. You thought that he had a good chance to be successful as a pro. I didn't think he was the worst pick ever. Great. A lot of people thought, just going to be a bust in the pros, but and then he got off to a slow start in training camp, and everybody thought, and they're quick to jump on that bandwagon and say the guy sucks. But look, they said that about Sam Darnold, and I don't know that he's great, but at least he's a competent pro quarterback at this point, and maybe even a little better than that. So we'll see. But anyway, a little sympathy for the New York Jets. They managed to blow it. Here's one I was right about, Lubie, and that was kind of interesting how this story evolved. Now, it was naturally, look, we're in the storytelling business here. And so, a good sports story is something that we hope transpires. It's always nice when you get these cynical stories, even if they're brief, like Danny Cutlets was. Not Danny. I mean,
Tommy Cutlets. Tommy
Cutlets. I keep wanting to call him Danny DeVito.
I'd be Danny DeVito so bad. That wouldn't be. I don't know how much worse.
I should play Raleigh Massimino, a movie about Raleigh's life.
Yeah, he's perfect. He'd be perfect.
Perfect. I don't know about Tommy Cutlets though.
No.
But it was a great story last year when it was going on.
Yes.
He literally went from endorsing to being out front at Rayo's in New York.
Exactly.
It's a big transition. So terrific stuff, and we love that sort of thing. So you like a good story, and that's why the overshadowing of this draft pick by the Los Angeles Lakers, because of the fact that they took Bronny James.
I mean, whatever.
The last picks of the second round, and everybody's in this furor about Bronny James and what his role is going to be. Is he going to make the team? Is it nepotism? Is LeBron controlling too much of the franchise's activities? And meanwhile, I remember saying to you, I think on this show a couple of times, what's wrong with this Dalton Connect guy?
Oh, no, you liked it.
Up going, I think he was a 17th pick.
Yeah, he was the first round. He was the higher pick. It's not like that's why when people lost about Bronny, I thought it was funny. I'm like, who cares? I never even know that
Bronny James appeared to be, unless something miraculous happened in his first year, he was going to be insignificant this year, except for the fact that he was LeBron's son, which I'm okay with it. I mean, you don't want to denigrate the guy. He can't help it. If anything, he's held his dignity very well by being LeBron's son and not.
Yes.
Not making an ass of himself. He seems like a very dignified young man, much in the way that a lot of people perceive LeBron James to be overall, even though LeBron has more than a share of detractors.
Yeah.
But, what's he done? I mean, if you're looking at it as an athlete, what athlete can be in a sport like basketball, especially for 20 fucking years and be this good? It's amazing.
Well, his whole career was in the 24/7 sports news cycle, and social media to some Facebook from day one was out.
Windhorst was following this guy to the toilet at the airport. Are you kidding me?
His whole career was under a microscope that none of the greats, the new ones, but up until his point, Jordan didn't face it, Bird, Magic didn't. None of those guys, Wilton, none of those guys faced what LeBron faced, and he never had a pop. His worst issue was that he did a thing at a Boys and Girls Club and used the term, my talents as Salpy. Like, even the one thing that was bad wasn't bad. It was just bad PR.
Well, it was the choice of Jim Gray to host that abortion.
Well, we hate Jim Gray.
What was worse? That's a good one, though, Libby. What was worse, the Tyson-Jake Paul fight or the Decision show with LeBron James?
Probably the Decision, because
Decision might have had more action in it. I don't know. When he walked into the gym and the kids all applauded, that was like better than the ring walk, if you knew what was going to happen next. But anyway, this Dalton Connect can play, Lubie. I told you, this guy who had a game that was very much, going to fit in with the pros. Shoots the three, can create his own shot, clutch player. 37 points last night, Lubie. He's writing a new story there. Nobody's talking about Bronny James anymore. So that was interesting, though. I mean, how badly overshadowed that draft pick was, which I thought was very significant for the Lakers. This was a kind of player it seemed like they needed to complement Anthony Davis and LeBron, and aging LeBron. And, wow, he's lighting it up. It's been great. So good to see that one came to fruition, and looks like it was going to be a very solid pick. And amazing how much that story was buried because of the fact that, what was that, the next to last pick of the first round? The Lakers took...
second round. It was second round. It was the end of the second round.
Second round, right.
Yeah, it was like, again, I didn't care. Because even if they got someone else, who cares? I don't even know who the Heat drafted. The Heat do more with their undrafted guys than they do with their late second round picks.
What were the chances that as an undrafted free agent, Bronny was going to sign with a different team?
Probably would have signed with the Lakers. I mean, look, people got weird about it. I was like, we've seen nepotism forever. Like, again, I don't give a shit. Like, and the kid actually isn't hurt. He showed flashes before he got to college. He had a fucking heart attack. He's undersized. He went early. he was out there in the second round. I mean, he'll go to the G League. Maybe he'll find a way to become like a defensive guy and a better point guard because his size is not 3-and-D. His size, he needs to work on his ball handling and his facilitating. But okay, like, the fact that it went either way, it shouldn't have outshined Connect. That was weird, and it shouldn't have become this big negative. It's like, who cares? I don't care. I didn't care either way. Like,
no, it was an interesting story. Just the fact that somebody could be around long enough to have his son play in the NBA is amazing. All right, Tony Segreto is going to join us, so we'll go over all of these things with the great Tony Segreto. Can we pop him in here? Because I always like to see what he looks like.
Right there.
Because it's an inspiration to see somebody who at this advanced age that I'm experiencing, and even further along the chart, can look this good. Tony, how are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you, Lubie? How are you?
Good morning, Tony. How you doing?
Just fine and dandy.
What's going on now? Are you back? You still in Fort Lauderdale, or?
Yep, until Monday, and then I head to Atlanta for Thanksgiving.
Atlanta? What's going on? I mean, the kids? What's happening?
My son lives in Atlanta.
All right.
So we're going to go visit him. His girlfriend's family is going to make a big Thanksgiving dinner, so we're going to celebrate it with them.
So nice.
You're living the dream, Tony. I was thinking about that. You know, as I was waking up, peeling myself off the mat this morning and thinking, fuck, I mean, more shows. I did like 4 shows yesterday. You're cruising around. You're on your way to Vermont. You're going to watch the leaves change colors. Well, what they probably already have, right? And
they have, and they've fallen off. So now winter is coming in.
All right. But you're living the dream, man. I mean, you obviously invested more wisely than I did because you have something to show for your life. That's good.
You got a nickel?
No, I mean, I'm not dead by any means, but
yeah, but
I tell you, Lubie saw when I had the old house on the canal there, and I had a boat that I had accrued because it had sunk somewhere else, and a guy brought it over to my house. Right. So this boat never was operable, but it looked cool back there in the backyard. And I thought, well, maybe one day I'll invest the money and fix it. Maybe I'll have myself like a cheap boat that was functional. But I was going to call it Horses and Divorces, because if it wasn't for those 2 things, I could have bought a boat. That actually
bought a house.
So. Yeah, so that was unfortunate. My financial wisdom didn't match up with
it's
the plan.
It's how you live your life. My wife and I decided that, we're gonna, live here and live in Vermont. We're gonna go to Michigan to see her family, and we're gonna go visit our kids. And that's
it, Tony.
That's it.
You're living.
And
oh my God,
we're happy we're doing it.
No, it's nice. It's good to see somebody has actually fit the equation that people had mapped out early on about how you should gracefully make the transformation to, can we call these your senior years? I don't even know.
I think so. Encroaching on 75, I think so.
It's hard to believe this, isn't it? I mean, I have
it
yet
is. It's hard to, how did I get from 35 to 75 like that?
Me, that's an even, I would imagine, a more challenging story, considering some of the things that entered my system in those years.
No, but, I too was in that world, my 30s and 40s,
Tony Segreto, I can't imagine Tony Segreto doing blow in the...
he wasn't doing coke, but he probably had a lot more fun than...
With the general manager while he was banging his secretary in the bathroom. That was more of a radio thing. You guys were more dignified.
Oh, my God.
All right, we're going to come back with Tony Segreto. We'll discuss these many items that we've laid out.
Lubie,
yes.
Lubie, what's wrong with him?
I stopped asking that like well over a decade ago. I just embrace it. We have a lot of fun.
Stan Cohn. I go into this is circa early '80s, Tony.
It makes every morning fun.
You're going to be at Looks today.
I'm going to do a little bump, and there are like 2 rails already on the bathroom, the pink counter, and this guy's doing blow with his secretary in the bathroom. He looks at me and he says, "Come in tomorrow. We'll discuss that raise." It's actually pretty handsome.
God.
Yeah. We'll come back with more in a moment. Tony Segreto going to be on this. We'll go old school, and then Ed Garcia is going to join us from Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. And the more I think about Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, I mean, those deals there are unparalleled, I think. In the
No, it's not like it.
They really are.
We ought to do a show from there one day.
Yeah, we'll have to get back.
Got to get back there. Yeah. Did you see Mayo? What a transformation he made, huh? He went from, well, it's a chain restaurant to, hey, can you bring some more of those onion rings? And you're right about the bread, Tony.
We watched the
shoveling like 6 rolls in his face. It was incredible. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Shoveling. It's 8:39.
Here, let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently realized it's not just
Other than they have.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse.
All right, welcome back to the show. Good to be with you guys. I wanted to get into this with you, Tony, because I don't know that I fully understand what the hell is going on here, but I keep watching these college football playoff brackets, and I know Ed Garcia would have an interest in this.
Oh, my God.
Also, and I see the University of Miami is always positioned, even though they're ranked 8th or 9th.
They're 5th now.
They're 5th in the college football playoff rankings.
Yes.
I thought they were lower than that. I really do. I
And,
believe they're like 8th or 9th.
8th.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, and obviously they're going to give a bye to the top 4 conference champions.
Yes.
Of the 5 or whatever conferences that are considered the top 4 conference champions.
Yes.
Get a bye. So there seems to be an assumption that the Canes, and you know this from being at various racetracks, guys would tell you, hey, never bet on a horse to do something that it's never done before. In other words, the horse is going from 6 furlong races to a mile and a 16th. First time around 2 turns. This was one of my friends who I thought was a very good handicapper, and I saw this guy had tremendous discipline, and he would say, never bet a horse to do something that it's never done before. So if it's going a mile and a 16th first time, lay off, no matter how talented you think that animal is. And, you know, if it happens to win and you didn't have money on it, it's going to be small, compensation and pay for the number of times you would have lost your ass because the horse couldn't measure up the first time it tried something new. So this is how I'm viewing the Hurricanes. I never bet on a team to do something it's never been done before. They've never won the ACC championship. So what makes all of these people that are doing these brackets assume that they're going to win it this year? Which are they?
They're just saying if the playoffs started today.
Yeah,
That's all they're saying.
But how are they in a position to be considered the ACC champion when they're actually in like third place? I guess.
I think they're in second. They're actually, you're right. They're in third. Clemson actually has.
Clemson is 7-1 in the conference. The Canes still have 2 conference games to play at 5-1. I don't know how could they hold any tiebreakers over the Clemson Tigers. Not sure. I wouldn't know how to decipher that, but
well, they're ranked higher. So
and SMU is unbeaten in the conference.
They're ranked higher and they're undefeated. They have. They actually have the same record as SMU. They're just
brackets came out last night, and one bracket had Miami playing. Miami sitting. Both brackets had Miami sitting out.
Yes, I keep seeing that, and I'm asking myself.
Right. Okay.
Why is there an assumption that SMU is not going to be the ACC champion?
No, that's the question.
Yes,
that's the question.
So
and
what do you think?
SMU, if SMU played Miami,
I mean, they're beating the shit out of everyone they play every week. Like
SMU,
I don't get like.
I went to SMU 2 years ago for a
Oh,
game.
wow.
I covered it for the Orange Bowl. And 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they were on suspension. And they were just, reeling. And I sat at the game with former President Bush, the young man. So, the young man, he's my age.
I would almost long for him to come back in that office based on
Yeah,
what's going on
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Although I do feel comfortable, and you should feel this way. I started to say this at the beginning of the show, and then we got sidetracked into some other BS. But with Mem and Oz now presiding over Medicare and Medicaid, I couldn't feel any more comfortable about the fact that they send limousines for you if you have Medicare. I mean, please, what on earth is going on here? This is a guy that the last time we saw him in any public light, well, he was testifying in front of Congress and making all these excuses about how he was recommending these quack medical supplements to help you lose weight, fight COVID. I mean,
but things you can do at home, your vinegar and your vinegar.
he was nuts and
nuts.
admitted that he was full of shit.
Yes. Yes.
He's sitting there. I mean, if you go back and you look at this stuff, I mean, it's available on YouTube. 2014, June 17th, I believe it is. Just look that up. You watch his testimony. And a very beleaguered and nervous-looking Dr. Memenaz, looking nothing like he did when he was confidently pushing this garbage on TV, is telling these Congress people, yeah, I knew I was making this shit up, but I felt it was entertainment. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, that being said, so I'm glad you feel comfortable about the whole Medicare.
I'm as comfortable as I've ever been.
But how comfortable do you feel about the Canes winning this championship with Cam Ward and company? Are they definitely?
I don't put anything past Clemson. As much as I love Miami.
Championship. They play a championship game, do they not? ACC championship game?
They play an ACC championship. I'm still trying to figure out how
do they get the two come on? They don't have divisions, so.
No, if SMU wins out, SMU's in. They're undefeated in the conference.
Okay.
Clemson, Miami have the same record in conference, right? Like if Miami finishes, it'll
they could finish 7-1, which Clemson is 7-1.
I don't know how that works. Like I'm actually very.
Yeah, I don't know what the
tiebreaker, but I don't get it. Supposedly right now Clemson has the tiebreaker, but I don't. So I don't know.
If they do, then Miami would be out.
And you know what? They're not counting strength of schedule anymore.
No, they ignore it.
Yeah,
they're not paying attention.
Because nobody plays a strength of schedule that's worthy of consideration.
Even the SEC, like that's the problem. SEC plays no one out of conference. They just beat up on each other and prop each other up. But if
it's like the eye test, the eye test, it's an eye test, and how much you win by,
Oh yeah, point differential. My favorite criteria for deciding these things. Let's just go Gino REM and run up the score there. Seminole Baptist has 12 points here, and there are 2 minutes left to go in a ball game. Gino's still got his starters in, but all right, let's bring on Ed Garcia. He can try and make some sense of this because this guy really is a college football expert. We love him from Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, and once again, lighting the torch for his Michigan Wolverines. However, that is an interesting background, Lubie, but I
see that, but I don't see him. So I don't know. Maybe he's not
kind of interesting. Is he lost in the crowd there? Ed,
you there?
I think he must have had to step away or something. Maybe he thought we were just
saw that. I'm like, maybe he'll pop on. I'm like, I don't know where the hell he is, but maybe he'll pop on.
Well, let's play music until he comes back.
No, we don't. We got all
No.
kinds of stuff. I mean, you have to be thrilled to see that this Aaron Rodgers trade not only didn't work out well for the Jets, but on top of that, he's now getting everybody fired.
He should be let go. He should,
no, he should be done.
Just to prove a point, he should be let go. Let go.
Unbelievable what's happening.
New York Jets, you hear me? Let him go.
Yeah.
They may well do that. I mean, they're going to have a new general manager. He, I think, does he have a Jets option year left on his contract? I know he has some kind of arrangement for 2025 that he was talking about. He intends to come back, or at least that was his lean.
Who's going to want him? Who's going to want him?
I don't know. I mean, is it all on him? All of this? I mean, he hasn't played well. It's not like he's been any dynamo, but
it's the whole franchise.
Yeah,
it's the whole franchise.
Is it the curse of Mike Tannenbaum that they actually employed him in that same office and nobody could ever have success there again? That could be.
Mike Tannenbaum. God love. He's a
Well,
better.
look what he did here. I mean,
He's a better analyst than he was a general manager. That's for sure.
How do you feel about that, though, Tony? When a guy ruined a couple of franchises, absolutely put them on the balls of their ass. I mean, he ruined the Jets.
It's
They were
tough.
never the same. Ruined the Dolphins. They just have never been the same. They've tried every which way to fix it. They can't get past the Tannenbaum jinx. So, what level of it's like when David Sampson, who buried the Marlins.
Oh my God, that was terrible.
He's not a terrible commentator. I mean, by today's standards, he's excellent. But that being said, how can you take anything he says seriously when he literally was responsible for one of the biggest failures in sports history?
You can't take him seriously at all.
That's my problem. Well, what I would do, we know what you would do. We saw it. We're still living through it.
Yes, you did.
How is he making recommendations for other general managers to perform?
You know what I would do?
Yeah. What value was that opinion? Immediately, you would put a line through that and say, let's go the other way. That's it. All right. But anyway, so you, what is your level of faith, though, Tony? I mean, you're connected with this Hurricane program. We are not anymore. I mean, we have a decent relationship with Jim Larrañaga. We haven't had him on the show yet this year, and that troubles me because, as various, I don't know, is the SID still the same there at the University of Miami?
I haven't tried it. Would you want him? I forgot college basketball's even on. I mean,
he's burying people. He's playing a pretty soft preseason schedule, but they're burying people by 50, 60 points.
Let's go back to football 1 second.
Yeah.
Yes.
If Clemson plays Miami or SMU plays Miami for the ACC championship,
yes,
SMU will smoke them.
See, I give you credit for saying that. Like, that's what I feel like both of those. I know Clemson's sort of fallen on their face the last couple of weeks. I don't know what the hell's happened to them. But before then, they were rolling. Like, the Canes haven't played good football and all. Even FSU, who sucks, they struggled and toyed with FSU until like the late third quarter. Like, SMU's rolling over team. It's such a weird.
SMU is a real deal.
Yeah, it's so weird.
I was saying,
scratching them. Like,
I was there like 3 years ago, and you could, as bad as they were then, you could see some inklings that they were going to be good. And they just stick with the program and go from there. And that's for. Hey, Ed.
What up?
I was just going to pop you on to watch, and then you could jump on.
Good to have you on the program. We're trying to figure this out. I know you follow college football.
College football, yeah.
Overview. You're not just isolated to concentrating solely on Michigan. But and Tony, surprisingly, I mean, this shocks me about Tony Segreto that he would be betting against the Hurricanes in a game against SMU. You imagine? And so I don't know, what is your thought here? Because I keep seeing this has been confusing me. I keep seeing the Hurricanes being penciled in as having a bye in the first round of the college football playoffs. And then I'm looking, they're seeded like 8th or 9th. So, I finally was able to think, oh, well, geez, they must be considering them to be the conference champions out of the ACC. And that would be the only way they would get the bye. But I don't know. I don't see them winning the championship. Do you?
Well, I think that part of that is a great way to kind of just gather a little bit more attention. You're going to put it up there. I think it's going to be a pretty tall feat for them to pull off the championship and to get that bye. However, the greatest thing about college football is that it's really any given Saturday. So, we'll see who pulls it off. We got a couple of big games coming up. I mean, these next 2 weeks are going to dictate everything.
Oh, my God. These next 2 weeks are going to be awesome.
It's going to be 100%. I mean, I bought the bottle of bourbon and I'm ready to go, just to kick back and enjoy. And actually this weekend I got a double header. So not only Saturday, but I'm going to be Sunday at the Dolphins. So,
nice.
Patriots. Yes.
So
yeah, it was really, really cool. This past Sunday, I got to go, our CEO, Mr. Morgan was in town and, we played a little bit of golf on Saturday and
he's
then,
a big Dolphin fan, isn't he? He's a big Dolphin fan.
Yeah, hardcore. He had a family member on the 72 Dolphins.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember which one, but he lives and breathes the Dolphins 100%. And I think he might have a whole room in his house dedicated to the Fins. anyway, so I think the next 2 weeks are going to be, really, really exciting. As far as, you got Thanksgiving. I mean, just a lot of big conference championships, and that top 12 lineup, I'll tell you, nobody could have picked it. It's like picking March Madness. Pick this top 12 right now. Back in September, there's no way. I mean, some of those teams that are in there, I'm just scratching my head. I was like, where did they come from? But I think that's just part of the new excitement.
What teams are you scratching your head about?
Well, Miami is one of them. I mean, I felt like they were going to have a really good team, and to be up there in the top 4 is that's one for sure. Georgia kind of being as far back as they are also took me by surprise. I mean, you remember early on too, is that, Texas had me, I thought they were going to just dominate all season, and, they're human just like the rest of us. They're a little bit fickle here and there.
Well,
and
I mean, your own conference, Indiana, like where the hell? This is Signetti's first team.
The Hoosiers, like
first year.
And they were horrible ever. And, so that's one for, I mean, absolutely. I mean, Bobby Knight is coming back, wearing pads. Anyway, it's been very interesting. And that's, one of the reasons why I love college football is that it really can be any given Saturday. The transfer portal, NIL. I mean, I'm sure, you've been keeping up with a little bit of this NIL drama that's going on, and Bryce Underwood threw a picture up of his wide receiver. So I don't know if that was the bat signal of, hey, I appreciate you're offering me over $10 million, but what about my wide receiver? I think that was the bat signal, like throw him a couple mil and we'll both flip. So, but it really, it's kind of crazy to think about. And I could be wrong, and you'll know these stats, but we're offering Underwood 10.5, somewhere around in the realm of over 10 million. And what does Brock Purdy get paid? 3.5?
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, guys that are drafted in like the 6th, 7th, or undrafted are making way less money than.
I don't even think he makes $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, he shares rent with his roommate.
Yeah,
so
I think it's like 700.
He wants to go back to college and play.
Yeah, no kidding. If he's 5th year eligible, I'd think about it. I mean, for 10 mil, like, hey, I'm going to drop back, so I can take a couple of GE classes. Why not? So
we were talking about it the other day, where Cam Ward bought these diamond necklaces for all of his linemen.
Yeah,
and you were thinking Tom Brady never even spent that much money on his own, buying them Christmas gifts after winning 7 Super Bowls. So. Where's this college kid getting this kind of money from? But it has changed the dynamic a great deal. Yeah, 100%. Indiana's a big surprise. They're in there against Ohio State,
but they haven't played anybody. So this is the week
playing somebody this week. Yeah,
if they get smoked,
this is everything.
If they get smoked,
and Ohio State has really not been talked about that much as a possibility to win the championship, and yet they're still knocking on the door. They're lost there to Oregon, and Tony's Notre Dame Fighting Irish. With that putrid loss that they had to Northern Illinois, and you thought, wow, this is going to be it for Marcus Freeman. But since then, they're pulverizing people. I mean,
there's a thread. They're holding on to that thread.
Yes, they are. They're holding on to it.
So, wide open picture. I don't know that we've seen a picture more wide open. Hey, tell us, Ed, what's going on? Anything special for the holidays? We got Thanksgiving coming up. A lot of people looking for restaurant ideas or ways to feed their family by getting food at various places. So what do you have going on?
I'll tell you this much. First off, big shout out. We just celebrated Veterans Day last week, and I should have talked about this last week, but in the 12 restaurants alone, on that Monday, we fed 1,790 veterans in our restaurant for free.
That's amazing.
We passed out probably about 5,000 free meals for veterans as well. It is one of my favorite days of the year. I mean, we all know we wouldn't be here today without the service of our veterans. So just a big shout out to them. But coming up, we got Thanksgiving right around the corner, and it is the zoo. I mean, you already can tell the traffic on 95. All our friends from up north are coming down. Tony does the opposite. He runs away.
Yes.
But, Mom is going to be in the kitchen prepping. The fridge is going to be full. There's going to be no snack, and if not, you're going to get your hand whacked with the ruler. So come into Texas Roadhouse. We got the family packs. If you don't want to put up with the zoo and watching Lubie line dance, then pick up a family pack. And I mean, we just updated our mobile app. What a great way to come in. And I'll tell you, that week of Thanksgiving, I mean, starting Monday, it's going to be busy. And as we go through Thanksgiving, it's going to get busier. I will let the cat out of the bag for the people on the show. The day after Thanksgiving is obviously Black Friday.
Oh, geez.
Check out your local Roadhouse. We do a gift card special. Super easy. We run a lot of people at the front door so you can come in, buy your gift cards, get out. It's going to be cheaper than you can find it online and all the other stuff. A couple of incentives, which is good. Usually you see Lubie gets in line, buys a few gift cards, gets back in line so he can get the promo again.
Yes.
But check it out. Everyone's a little bit different, but there's some pretty cool incentives out there. And the coolest part is that you can give back. So you buy, let's say $100 and you get an additional 20, use that 20 for yourself, or, it's kind of investment. We do have businesses that come in and they buy like $5,000 just for themselves because they're constantly taking people out there for dinner. And, they're kind of hedging their bet. They're giving themselves 20% off and it's a write-off. So pretty smart deal.
Yeah.
To do that.
Shades of Mattress Mac up there. That makes some big bets in Houston. All right, excellent, Ed. And your plans are you're going to be in South Florida for Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you again before that, I guess.
Next week.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Next
All right,
Wednesday.
thanks, Ed. Always a pleasure, my friend. Good
Thanks,
stuff.
guys.
Thanks,
You're the
Ed.
best.
We got a little college football clarification there from Ed Garcia because we have no idea what the fuck we're talking about anymore, Tony. I'm not embarrassed by it because nobody can figure it out.
Look,
Nobody
let me
knows
find
what
out.
the hell.
What is the favorite part of the turkey?
Oh, turkey breast guy all the way. Yeah, and the skin.
I bounce back and forth between the dark meat and the white.
Yeah. The dark meat is okay with me. I'm very happy to see somebody else break off the
You
drumstick.
don't eat the leg.
I want that.
I never seen my mom. I think carves it. Honestly,
Yeah, it's not like I don't eat it, but I'm straight up, as they say, a breast.
When I was a kid, I used to take that leg and used to gnaw on it all day. And now I can't, don't throw it to me.
Who was the guy that used to ride around the stadium? I mean, I can't believe that. I mean, how times have changed. They used to allow this guy to have a food truck in a parking lot at what is now Hard Rock Stadium. It was Joe Robbie.
Yes.
And it was Turkey Leg Joe or something. You remember this guy?
Yeah, I remember him.
And everybody had these giant fucking dinosaurs,
turkey
legs, and they were eating them there. I don't know that I ever had one. I want to say yes, that at some point in time somebody offered me a bite of one, but then how do you share that?
I tried one
you
day.
can't carve it off. That's weak.
Yes.
You have to do it like a
you
barbarian.
take a bite. Yeah, I never had one. Shirley loved them. I've never had it.
Yes.
What do you think?
You gotta try it, Lubie.
Out there, I mean, that should have been a TV feature, no? Turkey Leg Joe. And then how much of a kickback did he have to give the Dolphins to operate in their parking lot, which they would never.
Joe Robbie would have made sure he got his. He got
a piece. Yeah, maybe a substantial one. You're right. All right, Tony, we love you, man. We'll talk to you again next week.
You gonna be at Luke's today?
Celebrating Thanksgiving. What's that?
You gonna be at Luke's today?
I can't make it down there. You were.
You're going to be there.
Yeah, you're going to be. I was happy to give up the seat. I didn't realize we were going at 2:30 post, so I had a meeting I had to go to, and I had arranged it for 4 o'clock. But then when I found out about the Luke's thing, I'm going to do that at 12:30. So, but nonetheless, it involves some travel and some time, so it would have been prohibitive. But you enjoy it. I mean, you're going to love it, Tony. You've not been there?
Nope.
It's great.
Okay, good, because you're going to love it. And on top of that, Luke is a huge Tony Segreto fan.
Yes, he's a big South Florida sports fan.
Big South Florida sports fan. So he's going to love meeting the iconic broadcasting legend, Tony Segreto. Tony, thanks, man. Well, we'll talk to you again next week. Tony Segreto, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Lubie, I think we did it, huh?
That's it.
Still, I'm as confused as I was at the start of the show about. No, I really am. I don't. Like I said, I don't feel badly about that because it used to be a thing where, like, if somebody called you and said, "Hey, what do you think about this team?" And then you would name like the wrong conference; they weren't in it anymore, and then you would feel like an asshole for like weeks.
I couldn't even tell you what the Big 12 is.
Yeah, but now I feel no shame whatsoever in having no idea what the fuck's going on. Is that good? I mean, this is not from the Sarny School of Journalism where you're asking the audience to help you out.
There's a lot of change the last few years.
But I don't see why there's the assumption there that UM is going to win the ACC.
Well, they keep putting them there, and I don't get it. Right now, they're not number one in their conference. Why are they? I get it. They're
not highly enough ranked to make you think, oh well, geez, this is going to be easily established.
I don't know why they're ranked higher than SMU. Okay, well they're ranked higher. Well, why? Like, why are they ranked? SMU lost early and has won 8 in a row, or maybe more than that. Miami lost more recent. SMU lost. Yeah, BYU lost, but BYU is still a top 15 team. As Miami lost to fucking an average Georgia Tech team. Like, I don't understand. Yeah, they've been ranked high all year. Okay, well, why? Like, they haven't played well in like a month and a half.
I understand you're unbeaten, even if you're down there in the teens in the rankings. As teams continue to get knocked off, you're going to make just a natural ascent in the rankings. And it is a big time program in terms of having at least a championship caliber history. They've knocked on the door not that long ago. I guess 2017 they were an inflated 10-0 before they fell completely on their face.
Yes.
They looked as tough in the end of the season that year as you'll remember this. I mentioned this for Andy, as the fighting rabbi Yuri Foreman did in that Arislandi Lara fight that he had at the Hialeah racetrack and casino. Remember, you were there that night.
Yes, I was.
Yeah,
The fighting
rabbi got in there on the Sabbath, no less, and got his ass kicked. Unbelievable. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll join you tomorrow. I'm thinking Gurgles, maybe.
Yeah, Gurgles is in. I talked to him. Gurgles in.
Okay, Gurgles with the trivia challenge tomorrow, and then Friday we'll have the big board with the professor, some college picks as well. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Our thanks to Ed Garcia, Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, the great Tony Segreto, and for Mike Lubie, Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. See you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:05.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my